So you're doing some 10 pulls on the current banner that just came out, and you get 5-star Layla. Layla, in all of our hearts, is a true 5-star because in Layla we trust. Now, I wanted to do Layla's video first because Layla is such a big thing for my channel, right? My channel's named Layla We Trust. My profile picture is a custom Layla emote that Taxi did for me. We love Layla here. So I wanted Layla to get the first double guide treatment. I am changing how I am doing guides. We're now gonna have 2 guides per character. The basic guide, which is what this is, and then we are going to have an artifact grinding hell guide, which is meant for late game, very specific team comps, maximizing characters. We're now gonna have 2 guides. This one's gonna come out, the basic guide today. The Artifact Grinding Hell guide is gonna come out the following day for every character. Now, after all of that fluff, I still have to give my openings that I have become known for. I just hit my desk with my pointer. What do you get with Layla? Besides the sleepiest character in all of Genshin, I will fight people that say that Sayu is sleepier. Well, Layla is a sword-wielding cryo user whose shield is phenomenal and in some instances can be better than Zhongli. That's not going to be for this video though. Now, we are going to look at the build of the current Layla that we are using for this video. This is my own personal Layla. This is going to be a good benchmark. We're going to definitely dive deeper into this build in the other video. I'm going to be making references back and forth all video long. So my Layla is level 90 with 45,000 HP, about 1,000 attack, defense 991, EM 135. Now, the only thing that I could really improve upon my Layla build is the energy recharge. I wish that was around 120, 125, but 105's not terrible. She is running level 80 Doc Hand's Assistant for the HP. Her artifact set is Tenacity, 4-piece. Next, we're gonna look at her passives before we look at her constellations. Her first passive, like Nascent Light, I hope I'm saying that right. What this means is that whenever she makes her shield, she's gonna produce these little stars every so often. We'll talk about that in a little bit. When they fire off, they are going to increase the strength shield of the character that is in the shield, meaning that the shield will be stronger. So the more times that these little stars fire off, the stronger the shield. Her other passive, Sweet Slumber Undisturbed, meaning that the higher her HP, the more damage that these little stars are going to do. So that's her 2 passives. 1 strengthens her shield, 1 increases her own personal damage. Now for her constellations. So my Layla is C3. C4 is where I want to get her on this current banner. I don't necessarily want Baiju or Wanderer, but I'm still going to be trying to get her C4. So what C1 is going to do is going to make the shield a little bit stronger, as well as give shields to other characters in co-op. C2, whenever the little stars from her skill hit an opponent, it will give energy to Layla. C3 is a normal one. C4 is the reason that I got Arlecchino. Whenever the stars from her skill hit an opponent, it will increase your character on field's normal and charge attack based on Layla's max HP, meaning it is going to buff a character like Arlecchino even further. That's the whole reason why I got Arlecchino is for Layla. C5 is going to be a normal one, and C6 is going to increase Layla's personal damage. It's not necessarily going to help other characters, it is just going to help Layla do more damage. As well as decrease the interval between when the stars are made, making it much easier to apply cryo as well as keep up Tenacity's 4-piece set. We're going to talk more about that in the other video though. So now let's go look at her skill and her burst. Now, of course, we do have to talk about her normal attacks. Her normal attacks are adorable. She does hold the sword with 2 hands as she's swinging it, which is amazing. She's, I think, one of the only characters that actually does that. And her charge attack is same thing, double-handed, and it's a flurry just like always. Now we're gonna get into her skill. So her skill is going to produce this cryo shield that she loves to fall asleep in. Isn't that absolutely amazing? Now, every 1.5 seconds, it is going to produce one of these stars. When there's 4, it is going to fire the stars off one at a time and hit nearby enemies, dealing cryo damage, as well as applying cryo to the enemy. This shield's strength is based on Layla's max HP. Most people try and get around 38,000 to 40,000. My Layla has 45,000. Her shield does not break. Now, I said that the shooting stars automatically create themselves every 1.5 seconds. There is a way to increase Well, I guess it'd be decreasing the amount of, it's not decreasing the amount of time it takes. There's a way to make the shield produce stars without that 1.5 seconds. And that is whatever character you have on the field, if they use a skill, it will produce 2 stars. So at 1.5 seconds, it'll produce 1 star. If you swap to another character and use their skill, it will create 2 more stars automatically. Meaning you can get to the 4-star limit maximum that you need for them to start firing off much, much quicker. You do want to rotate through your team or have somebody with a short skill cooldown. Arlecchino is not that case, but Benny and Kazuha are the case for this. So having characters that use their skill often can be very, very good for increasing the number of stars that the shield produces, increasing the number that they fire off, decreasing the amount of time it takes to get to 4 stars for them to fire off. So something else about her skill, because the cooldown is the same as the uptime, unless the shield breaks, you have permanent uptime with her shield. Now, we're gonna look at her burst, and it is going to summon this dream sphere. I cannot think of the word that this is. Put it down in the comments and remind me of it, and I'm gonna remember it while I'm editing, and if I do, I'll put it down here. It is gonna produce this, it's not a dream catcher, but it's something similar. That is going to fire off cryo. Now, every time it fires off one of these cryo stars and the cryo star hits an enemy, it will give another star to the shield. So it's another way to produce stars in her shield, right? So that way you can get to the 4 faster. So we can use other character skills to increase the number of stars in her shield and her burst, which is why I think that my Layla can really use some more energy recharge, because using them together is amazing. So if you can get the timing right, get the burst correctly, then you can always have a shield up firing off the stars, applying more cryo, allowing for more melt reactions or freeze reactions or no reactions with something like Dendro. You can have a lot more cryo flying around, and Layla can apply a lot of cryo with using her burst and her skill together. So now we're going to look at artifacts. Now, for a basics guide, there's really no good way to increase HP early in the game, right? You have the adventure set, which only gets up 1,000 HP. That's negligible. So I'm going to recommend exile set, 4-piece exile set, so that way you can have her burst more readily available, while also the 4-piece is going to give energy to your other characters whenever you use Layla's burst. So her burst has a really low cost, meaning that you should be able to get her burst up almost permanently. And doing that is just also going to help apply a lot of cryo from Layla. 4 main stats, HP across the board. HP, HP, HP. You want to get her a lot of HP, so that way her shield will be stronger and be able to take more hits. For a beginner-friendly weapon, there is only 2 HP swords in the game. Key, which is Nilu's signature weapon, and Dockhand's Assistant, which is the current sword that I have on Layla. It was on last banner. Outside of those 2, there are no other HP swords. So then the best thing to do is going to be go energy recharge. If you have Favonia's sword, it is going to be a fantastic option. Next, you do have like Skyrider, which is a 3-star weapon, which can be very, very good for energy recharge as well. If you want Layla to be doing some damage, you can give her Harbinger of Dawn to increase her crit rate and crit damage. And keeping her above 90% HP is going to be very, very easy as long as you're not running her with Farina, because that shield is just going to protect her. You're going to swap her on, use her shield, use her burst, swap her off, right? So it's going to increase her personal damage, but energy recharge is going to be a much more sought after stat than crit rate or crit damage for somebody like Layla. Now, in the past videos, I talked about a basics team. I'm going to do less of that in this video and more about teams in the other video. However, I do want to talk about some roles that Layla can fill while all of this is going on behind me. Layla is a phenomenal cryo applicator. So putting her in a freeze team is going to be good with a character like Ayaka. Putting her in a melt team is also going to be good with a character like Arlecchino or even Gaming. Her shield is the second best in the game behind Zhongli. If you're fighting enemies that are cryo, her shield beats out Zhongli. With 4-piece tenacity and Constellations, if you're using a character like Arlecchino, her shield might be able to outperform Zhongli in a lot of other situations. And because Cryo and Dendro do not have a reaction, you can use Layla on a team with like Alhaitham or really any Dendro damage dealer, and you're not going to mess up the reactions. Cryo and Dendro have no reaction. They can exist at the same time. So that's how you have fridge teams or hyper fridge teams. Or you can have Layla with like a Burgeon team to kind of help offset some of the pyro. Layla can fill any role that Zhongli normally would because of how Cryo interacts with most elements. That is going to be it for this video. If you have any questions, do be sure to leave it down in the comments. Myself or someone else will be sure to answer it. Check out the other video. That is going to be the first video going more on a deep dive of a character that is going to be known as the Artifact Grinding Hell Guide. I will see you in that one.